the meeting.
There you
There we
go.
go. You got it.
And
Good
you
job.
guys can chop it up, make it
Sorry,
social.
Marilee, I changed your name accidentally, but you can fix it back. You guys know I'm inept. Come on.
All right, sharing.
Lucas, don't be afraid. We're all volunteers. Nobody gets paid for this, so bear with us.
I need, there we go. I can share now. All right.
Perfect.
Okay. I don't remember, and please forgive me, ladies, and know that I love you all. I don't remember who I spoke to when we first came up with this idea. They can speak up if they want to. But I remember saying to them, I already know what image I want. I want boxing gloves on. And I want you guys to know that it took my boys like 2 weeks to find their boxing gloves because I think I may have been the one that hid it from them because they kept going too far with the boxing gloves. But we found the boxing gloves and I was able to do an image. And so this is really a play on words, everyone. Ask the Underwriter versus AI for income, AI for underwriting. Because as I said before, there is no competition. We all work together. And one of the things that I want you guys to embrace by the time I'm done with this is not only the fact that AI is already here, but to start incorporating it more in everything that you do to make things, easier, to make things faster. I was already introduced, so I'm just going to go straight over here to my social media and just ask that you guys follow me, connect with me on any of my places. I try and use the same color scale, the same pictures so that you can see me. Dionne Bass, TikTok, Instagram. No, I hate Instagram. TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So we're going to talk about the evolution of AI in underwriting in the very beginning. And it is assisting, whether it's assisting or replacing underwriters. We're going to talk about some real life experiences as far as income calculation goes. We're going to talk about the strengths and the weaknesses, and we're going to talk about the future. And it's so funny because when I wrote this, I had not met Lukas yet. And now that I've met him, I am supercalifragilistic excited about this because he's going to be able to really, really dial in and show you what I meant about, calculating an income, some tools that you guys can use, and whether it's a them versus us situation. So, traditional role of the underwriter. So, what we did, in the past was, we would take a paper file, and this is very tiny. The files that we had were supercalifragilistic thick, and we would have these rubber thumbs so that we didn't cut ourselves and everything. And this was like as far back as 2008, and that's not really a long time ago. Back in 2008, there were like only a certain amount of companies had actually went digital, and it was actually the big banks like your Bank of Americas and your cities and stuff like that, and all the departments hadn't went digital yet. And so one of the things that was digital was DU and what was at the time called LP. It's not called LP anymore, loan prospector. Now it's called loan product advisor or whatever have you. And what it did was, it took all this data and it analyzed it, and then it measured different risks based on algorithms that I cannot even begin to tell you about. And then it will come out with an automated decision. Now, here's the thing that I want everybody to always remember. A computer, a program cannot approve, deny, or suspend a loan. Only a person can. All right? They're giving us guidance. They're helping us process that information quickly. They're allowing us to import stuff in there to analyze it a little bit quicker, but the ultimate decision is always up to the underwriter. And let me give you an example, and I want you to raise your hand if you remember this. Does anybody remember refer with cautions and refer eligibles were not a bad thing? Those were not bad things a long time ago. They were not. Only thing that meant was that it had to go back to the traditional role where the underwriter actually had to touch the file. It was not considered bad. It just meant that there was not enough information inside of the system for it to give you an automated decision. And 9 times out of 10, I would almost say 9.5 times out of 10, those loans were approved. They just had to be looked at by a human being. So what we're going through right now is we're getting to a point where it's doing all of the functions. All of the functions. So now you're able to upload your documents. The actual software is reviewing. It took me a long time to process that. I'm not going to lie to you. You're telling me I can upload these pay stubs, I can upload these tax returns, and it will review the information. It's going to calculate that information, and then it's going to spit out a decision. And that's where we're at now. Now, before I move on, I do want to let Lukas kind of talk a little bit about this, because I know that he does have some information about Angel AI, that Angel AI does do all of this too. And I want to remind you, Lukas, you tell me if I'm wrong, Angel AI is free?
Yeah, it's completely free for anyone to use. We didn't want to have any paywall for Angel. So yeah, like any loan officer, whether you're retail, wholesale, or what have you, can utilize Angel. Specifically, a lot of loan officers, when they come on, use this feature Dionne's talking about, which is exactly as she said. Nowadays, the optical character recognition is so good. All you have to do is drop your documents into the AI chat, tell Angel to calculate income for whatever program it is, FHA, VA, conventional, even non-QM products, and the optical recognition will read those documents, put it in the right place, compile that data, spit out a number, and then, of course, like Dionne said, we always believe that there requires human oversight, because any answer that Angel gives is completely warranted by our CEO, and you can fund on it. So to make sure that we have 100% accuracy and all those answers are bankable, the amazing thing about our AI is that it does have that human oversight on the back end, where your underwriting specialist is going to come in, check that worksheet, and drop it in the AI chat. So not only has the AI done its job, right, but the all important human check at the end to make sure that it's good and bankable.
Could I ask a quick question, please?
Absolutely.
What type of, and maybe it's going to be covered in a little bit, but firewalls and security. I mean, this is like very, you know, high prioritized information for all of our customers. So how is that protected?
That is a great question. So our AI is proprietary blockchain technology. So basically all that data is being filtered into the blockchain, and it's decentralized. So it's basically reserved for each individual user with your fingerprint, your digital fingerprint, if you will. So all of that data is separated. And then on top of it, we have a massive cybersecurity system. One of the biggest complaints I get is the login, because it is a double-step authentication. We haven't moved to facial recognition. So it's not Candy Crush, right? It does require that multi-step login to make sure that the system is secure.
And then,
So, yeah,
does your company then work with our IT team just to ensure that everything's, you know, protective?
So it's all encompassed inside the system. But remember, Christina, this is from a mortgage bank pedigree, and the headquarters from the bank is in California. So we're meeting all the compliance and all the security regulations there in California. So we're kind of going over above and beyond. The last thing we want is for someone to be able to access that security. So it's at least as heavy duty as the major banks, and probably more secure than a lot of other systems out there.
Right. I'm sure they have documentation to back that up, which is what they would need. So thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am. It is all
Christina,
documented.
that was an amazing question.
That is a great question.
because in my next slide, so he talked about the human touch. I love that. That's why Lukas and I connected so great. Is because I'm not afraid of technology. I've watched technology take control of the mortgage industry back in 2000 when DU and LP came out. So I'm not afraid of technology. You know, technology always needs the human touch. Why does it need the human touch? Because if you notice, they're very careful about what they say. This loan case file appears to meet Fannie Mae's eligibility guidelines. The feedback certificate is not a consumer report. It does not constitute an approval or denial by loan product advisor. The lender must ensure that they are compliant with all FHA eligibility requirements. So we're never actually taking AI and saying it's the end all be all. There's always going to be the human touch involved. I'm hoping that yes, great. I'm hoping that I have it. So let me tell you why I'm loving this. And this is Blueprints. This is Blueprints information. But Christina, to the point of the question that you just asked Lukas, even though Angel AI and SunWest like have this partnership, Angel AI is available to people who, dare I say, Lukas, didn't submit a loan to SunWest.
Yeah,
Can I say that?
absolutely. Yeah, there's
Okay.
no obligation. It's a tool for everyone to use. Exactly.
And so I say that to say this, Christina, your information is just as safe as it would be if you were sending your information through Blueprints, because you can upload documents to this AI income calculator Blueprint, and they have to have security and everything too. I'm not saying that anything can be hacked. I'm not, I mean, think about it. How many times has Equifax and TransUnion them said, hey, sorry about that. Here's a free membership because someone broke through our firewall. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But you know, uh, to Lukas's point too, Blueprint says it. When we get a disagreement between the two, it is routed to a US-based human auditor to correct any discrepancy. So even when you're using technology to calculate income, the human touch is still there. The human touch, like, we have to put eyes on these documents. ICE income analyzer, same thing. They do the income calculator. They do that. Like, it's not new. It's been around for a very long time. I just like to shout out Angel AI specifically. Number one, because you're not obligated to pay anything. And then two, the care they take to make sure that their answers are absolutely accurate. I don't know if you heard what he said, but the CEO warrants that they will take any loan that goes through that. Lukas, don't let me start making stuff up and then SunWest comes after me. Tell me
No,
what you
that's
said
right.
again.
Yeah, it's the answers in Angel AI are 100% warranted. So whether it's an income calculation or a lending question, for example, like I had a really strange identity of interest scenario come up, and poor loan officer, he was another gentleman from Nexa. He had the loan turned down twice. He's been trying to do it for like 7 months. And I told him, just go in Angel and ask specifically about your identity of interest. And he did. And Angel said, nope, that's not an identity of interest. You can use the full LTV and the down payment assistance. That was about 2 weeks ago. And we just closed on that loan yesterday. So again, he was able to get the answer up front, submitted that answer from Angel with the file, and we put our money where our mouth is in that regard. So again, that's why it has to be accurate, right? We have bankable answers when you go through Angel
And
AI.
I'm super huge on that, Lukas, because my mentees and my clients, I tell them, do not ask ChatGPT or Google any underwriting questions. Do not do it, which is why I promote Angel AI. Don't do it, because I've had them come to me several times and tell me that Google or ChatGPT told them they could do something, and I'm arguing with them and telling them, no,
Right.
you cannot. ChatGPT tells you, hey, check our answer. We're not always
Right.
right. That right there should scare you, in itself. So
Now, the really cool thing I like is when you do one of those answers, if you're not submitting it to SunWest, no problem. You can get the answer in the chat. You can also tell Angel, send me the corresponding guideline, and then she'll throw you the 4001 with that section highlighted. So you can then go have a discussion with your underwriter with that section, and don't have to go in the 4001 and press Control F and search through the whole handbook. So yeah, we try to make it, like I say, where it's portable, where you can get your answer and get on down the road. So
And as a commercial lender too, I mean, it'd be a definite ultimate decision would be the lender and the, the chief credit officer.
Sure.
Especially because there's, exceptions and things that you can override. So yeah, it's nice that even on the residential side, it's not held to a, perfect box.
And being backed by human beings, if you go in the chat and you say, hey, I'm not sure about this, have an underwriter call me or have management call me, then within an hour, the SVP of underwriting or the COO even, who Dionne met the other day, they'll get on the phone with you and talk through your loan. So it's really all about full transparency for the loan officer and ultimately for the customer, right? Get them what
How
they
is
need.
it able to be offered at no cost? I'm very curious about that, given all that it does.
I love that question, Christina. Yeah, so this version here of everything that you see, I mean, it's even got free credit repair in it. We're adding tax prep in the near future. Again, we didn't want to have any paywall for anyone utilizing it. In the short term, I tell you what, once people see it, we do tend to get a lot of loans over to the bank. Our pipeline gets really big because it makes doing business very, very easy. But we're about to bring out some really high-tech paid products, which we won't get into here, but it's kind of transcending mortgage and real estate on the very cutting edge of blockchain and visual representation of you, your own digital representation that's interactive, and then a lot of other different technologies. So yeah, this is kind of where we started. We're kind of Amazon for books right now, but since we got all this done and it's so successful and we're growing so quickly, now we're kind of moving beyond that. But yeah, so those products you will pay for, but this particular package that is the underwriting system and all the support for real estate agents and loan officers, that's always going to be free.
And that was an amazing example because it brings me right to this next slide. You mentioned Amazon for books. And that's exactly what DU and LP were in the very beginning. What did they incorporate? The credit report.
Mm-hmm.
Now in DU, you got taxes, you got bank statements, you got pay stubs, and they're all coming from these different, automated agencies and everything. And one of the main reasons why I don't believe that they'll ever be able to get rid of the human touch is because of fraud. We all know that people can manipulate, that people can create stuff, that people can invent stuff or whatever have you. So the human touch is always needed because it's not just income, it's underwriting, it's asset review, it's everything. Everything involved, someone else needs to see it. So we kind of talked about AI versus underwriters and the human what do you call it? The human touch or whatever have you, the strengths. But I'm just going to kind of go over it. And from an underwriting standpoint, I'm going to tell you why the average underwriter, I'm saying the average, I can't speak to to an underwriter that is intimidated by this. But one of the reasons why we like, all right, the AI and the strength of the AI is the speed, the accuracy, and the cost effect. What do I mean by the cost effect? So account managers are, as you guys know, the processors of the wholesale division. Does everybody understand what I mean when I say that? Like they're the ones that are taking that paperwork and kind of feeding it to the underwriter, whereas the originator has a loan processor that's feeding that paper to the underwriter. And so what ends up happening is these companies will promote these account managers to different levels to sign off on conditions. What usually happens is they push those conditions right over to the underwriter and they kind of say that they can't do them. So when we're dealing with AI, now you're taking stuff off of my page that I don't have to review. I don't have to look that deeply on the income because you just gave me reps and warrants on it. I do have to look at the bank statements to make sure that there's no that there's no, like, additional debt. But if I'm not mistaken, I think DU is even picking up on that now. They're picking up on unusual activity as far as different debts and stuff. Like it's learning, it's constantly learning. And so the things that we're looking at now are a lot different than the things that we used to look at before. Now, everybody does not upload their bank statements. I don't know if it's because there's a cost to it, because that was the thing with TWN. What's it called? The work number. I mean, it's like $100 and something to order a work number. Back in my day, now I'm really aging myself, I think work number used to be like about $20 or something like that. I mean, it is just like extremely expensive now. So when you're dealing with the strengths, speed, accuracy, and cost effectiveness, because you don't need as many people in this role as you did before. Does that mean it's going to wipe out a whole bunch of job positions? No, because whenever you introduce AI, you open up another type of job that's available now, because someone still has to look at the fall through. Someone still has to do something else in another role. Weaknesses. So the data quality, you know what I mean? And I spoke yesterday at a women's group, and I'm sorry, I did cheat on you guys yesterday. I still love you, NAPMW. I spoke yesterday at a women's group, and one of the things that I said to them, and I was very serious, and I really hope that I didn't offend anybody, but everybody who got on the call stayed on the call to the very end. So, but I told them, if you have taken an application, a credit report, and ran the AUS finding and told your borrower and told your real estate agent that you can do that loan, you did your borrower a disservice. That you've not verified anything. All you did was took the stuff, allow me to say the crap, that your borrower gave you and ran it through a system, and now 2 weeks later, you're going to be in a mortgage process trying to figure out, how in the heck did I get into this mess? That's not how the income goes. That's not how this goes. And so data quality is one of AI's weaknesses. You know what I mean? Unless it's actually able to pull from the bank, you know what I mean? The quality is not, accurate. As far as income goes, I'm just going to be 100% real with you. Unless they pull tax transcripts, which we know people found false tax transcripts all the time, it's not accurate. And I'm going to get myself in trouble saying this too. If your borrower quits their job and a TWN was pulled, you're still liable for that loan. I don't care if the TWN says that I worked for Fannie. You're there's so many different things that no one ever broadcasts or no one ever talks about, you know what I mean? But when we're using this technology, no one's going to be on the hook when 25% of their doggone pipeline that they just purchased quit their jobs and no one re-verified. They're not going to do it. So we know that things are ever changing. Complex scenarios. Non-QM. You'll never be able to run non-QM through AI. AJ, you had your hand up.
I have a question, just kind of backing up a little. They put all these tools like Plaid, so we could upload our bank statements, the work number, which half of the time doesn't work. We get charged for these services, and you'd think with AI, it would be less expensive instead of more. But my branch manager they were pushing it last year. Oh, use Plaid, use this, use that. But now they're like, don't use Plaid, don't use the work number. It costs us too much money. Every time we resend it to re-verify what they didn't complete, we have to pay for it. And so you'd think with this technology, all y'all could figure out how to get it to talk to each other for less money. Like, why are we paying more for the ease of not having to pay a person? And I just wonder, do you have any insight on where that might be in the future, if it's not too much out of scope here?
Lucas, that's definitely a question for you.
No, that's a great question, AJ. I think that that's something we're all experiencing in the business. Like, for instance, to Dion's point, you still need a verbal verification of employment 10 days
Right.
from closing, right? And what I've noticed, you guys probably the same thing, is especially after the pandemic, seems like everybody's income is variable, right? So the work number just doesn't usually cut that, you know.
Yeah.
So those are the two things that I actually do coach loan officers from the very beginning, like with those income calculations and with the file sub. If you do see variable income, you still, there's no way around it, right? You got to manually get a verification of employment. Now the good thing is that in Angel, if the file's in there, you can tell Angel, call, you know, Patty Smith at ABC Co. at this number for the VOE, and the data team on the back end will take care of that for you. But it's still, that's still a human being picking up the phone, talking to another human, sending them an email. And for a lot of these, I don't know how you do that, because these systems can't be updated immediately for somebody's, you know, changing OT, right? Or something like that. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's
I
a
don't
valid
know
point.
that they're a value any longer. I don't feel like they're a time gobbler. They cost us money. At the end of the day, I still got to verify your job. I
Right.
won't put out a pre-approval letter until I've verified income and assets and
Well,
that you have an insurance quote. I just won't put the
you're
letter
a
out.
loan officer after my own heart. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do everything up front. I love
Yeah,
it.
I won't give them, I've been bitten. We've been there. You know, I've
Yeah,
been at that, I don't want to be that person. So thank you for your response.
you're very
I
welcome.
hope, I hope they cut, yeah, I'll figure something out sooner.
As Dion said, when you have like just salary, you know, you're a government contractor with salary, your W-2 with salary, all that, you know, what's going to happen and over the next couple of years is, yes, the more, all that information will just be pulled into the DU, like we saw, you know, like day one certainty when that came out. I think that's just gonna, that's obviously gonna increase and increase and increase. Is it gonna solve the problem? I think we all know, like, nope, we're still gonna have to make that phone call at the, you know, at the beginning or the end, and a good loan officer is going to do that at application.
And my favorite part, what AJ just said, is that might have been you, Lucas. You know, with the variable income, I don't know the last time you looked at the pay stub, they like the names that they're coming up with to call stuff is absolutely ridiculous. I train my people, do not take anything for granted. When you get that pay stub, if you got all the way to underwriting and you didn't know what XQR2RV was, shame on you. Because when you looked at that pay stub, you should have asked your borrower, what in the heck is this?
Yeah, that's Intel,
That's a
Nike,
good
and
point.
nurses. That's what we see that
Like, what is that?
Such a good
Um,
points, guys.
So the bias in the algorithm. So this can go both ways, and I think Lucas will agree with me. When it comes to help and stuff like that, you know what I mean? There is no bias. But when you're dealing with LP and you're dealing with DU, a lot of bias in there because it's going back on, and I don't know, so please don't quote me, but DU is looking at risk. It's looking at stuff that's happened before. They've loaded all of that stuff inside their system, and they're making a decision, and they're basing it on, you know, all these different things that happen. But, you know, I don't know about you guys, but the person that I am today in 2025, I was not back in 2020. So please don't judge what my history might do this or my income might be do that. Like, we don't really know. And so with that's one of the weaknesses of AI. It's using information to make a decision and not really, as we say, looking at a refer with caution or a refer eligible, which doesn't mean it's bad. It just means I can't do this. I'm going to have to refer it to somebody else. Refer with caution used to mean credit score is too low. I'm not even looking at this. You need to have a human underwriter look at it. So, human strengths are judgments and flexibility. You know, we are a lot more flexible than a machine is because we can think outside the box. And that's why I push Angel AI, because there's a human being behind that software that is thinking, that is making sure, you know, whatever you're calculating, whatever decision you're trying to get to, is making sure that it's accurate. I don't know if you want to speak on that one before I flip the switch, before I move on to the next slide, Lucas.
No, you're exactly right. We always have the human component. The AI compiles everything, as Dionne's been saying, to make the human's job easier. And then it's all about trying to figure out how to get it done for the consumer. But it does alleviate some of those concerns that a human underwriter could have that might cause them to maybe add a condition that is not necessary or what have you. So it's all about the customer, right? It's all about doing more deals and more of the American dream.
Speaking of more deals, human underwriters cannot do more deals. Their time is being consumed, okay? And we can only handle so much. I always give this example, okay? That first underwrite, that first underwrite that we get as underwriters, if underwriters worth their weight in gold, they are digging. They've got their shovel and they're digging. They're digging. And the reason why they're digging so deep, the reason why they're asking so many questions, the reason why they're trying to make sure everything is addressed, because when they see that file again, they're only going to have a couple of minutes to review whatever conditions that they've asked you for. And they have to make sure that they took great notes, that they asked you for exactly what they needed, and that they can get that off their desk, quickly. Whereas a machine, I don't know if you guys have ever like asked Chat GPT to do like 6 things. So this is what I do. I'll be like, Chat GPT, I want you to create this, put some of that in there, sprinkle a little of that, and then come off with that. And Chat GPT will spit that out in seconds. If you were to ask a human being to do all those different things, they would tell you, well, let me get back to you in a little while because you just asked me to do 4 or 5 different things. Now, I've got a few examples. So, examples of when the human touch might be needed. And I could be wrong, okay? This is one of those times where I'm going to have Lukas come in after I kind of go through this. So I know this is not a self-employed borrower class. If you guys want me to come back and do a self-employed borrower class, I'll be more than happy to do it. Even though AI is around, you still need to know what the tax returns say. There's still information on the tax returns that you need to review and understand. And so, when you're dealing with certain incomes, K1s that have different information on there, whether it's distributed or whether it's ordinary income. We just talked about variable income. Sometimes non-taxable income needs to be looked at, how it's documented. Now, I will say that DU has kind of solved that problem because they're reading bank statements now and they're telling you, hey, don't worry about it. We got Social Security verified. Like they're literally reading these bank statements and stuff. Amortization is not a line item. There's nothing inside anybody's tax returns that actually say amortization. There's nothing on anybody's tax returns that actually say HOA fees. And so I don't know, and this is where I'm going to turn it over to Lukas. I don't know if Angel AI has mastered this and it knows to look for that word in the tax return and throw it in there. So I'll let you take over.
Yeah, this is one area that the tech is rapidly advancing. So you can put in very, very complicated returns. Angel's going to dig through all of that information. I think the HOA, the amortization does depend on how you structure, the loan, obviously, and where they buy. But for the base income calculations, even with very, very complicated returns, the AI is super helpful. Yeah, to get an accurate answer even. Now, the other thing that I loved about Dionne when I met her and went through all of her trainings was that I personally, having been a loan officer almost 25 years, this stuff is very, very important. Even if the AI can go in and do a bang up job and take that time savings, because ideally you as a loan officer, we don't want you or our underwriters spending 10, 15 hours of their week just doing income calculations, right? There's a whole lot more high value tasks that you could be doing that day. So the AI is assisting us to get to a point where the human being can then be creative and educate and close deals. So that's kind of the environment we're in right now, where this can be done by the AI. And then again, as you mentioned, Dionne, the human beings, from from our side come in and check it for you. So then you don't have to check it 100% yourself. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't know how to do those calculations in your day-to-day of your mortgage practice because, you are the expert. It just means you don't have to do them all day long.
Exactly.
You know,
And
so.
I'll say this again. I do not push for you guys to become tax return experts. I push for you to understand how to read the information on there. Like, can you tell how old the business is? Can you tell what type of business? Like stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So the
Very
future
good point.
of mortgage underwriting. So here's the truth of the matter. I don't know. um in the future, okay, because AI is always reshaping the future. And so in the future, AI, will automate the entire, underwriting process from application to approval. And this will drastically reduce processing times. But that's a long way off. And let me tell you why I believe that, okay? We apply for credit cards all the time and we get them right away. And there are companies out there. I am telling you, I've talked to a few people. I have actually been hired and worked for a company that I cannot say because I had to sign all different types of NDAs and everything, that they're trying to do this. They want the they say that the mortgage process is too convoluted. They say that the mortgage process is too cumbersome and that it needs to be automated and that it can be automated. Do I think that it's going to work for every single type of loan file? Absolutely not. I believe that we'll go back to the old guard, which me personally, I would really like to see. Subprime is not a bad word to me. And the reason why is because I underwrote, which is a manual underwrite, not stated, not stated assets and all that. I'm talking about real manual underwrites. I underwrote subprime loans for years. And back in the day, you had to have some skin in the game, which nobody had problem with. They put the assets down. They knew what their credit was, but they paid their mortgage. I was underwriting back when you could actually be late on your mortgage and refinance yourself to be current before this modification foolishness ever came about. So I do believe that full automation is coming, but I think it's going to, like I just said before, yes, account managers might be obsolete soon, but another role is going to open. Something else is going to, it always opens the door for something else. And I believe that when it goes to full automation, subprime is going to come back. Non-prime, non-QM, whatever the heck they want to call it. I'm old, so I remember it being called as subprime. I believe that it's going to take into alternative data stuff, rental payments, utilities, and all that type of stuff. And our hope, this is our hope. Our hope is that we'll be able to reduce bias. I know of a appraisal management company that actually utilizes AI that goes through the appraisal to make sure that there are no biased words, that there's nothing in there that would even hint at any type of bias inside of the appraisal report. So much is going on that I totally see all of this happening. I'm going to go on to the last slide, which is the question slide. But because we're recording now, I do want Lukas to kind of say whatever closing remarks that he might have and then open the floor to questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dionne's 100%. This is it's a scenario where we're kind of melding the best of, and we've been in a trial by fire the last few years. Really, it's the best ones that are still standing, right, in our business. So now we're taking the best tools in the environment and enhancing those super loan officers, if you will, to usher in this new era where we're able to do a lot more than we were able to do before without those roadblocks, and really uplift communities and uplift people that didn't have access to this type of information in the past. So that's the big revolution. And then for you guys, it's like, well, how do I how do I take advantage of that? And how do I get the information out there that I am taking advantage of it, right? And these are the types of problems that we're solving because we feel like we have really made a leap forward in the mortgage process. I think you're right, Dionne. People are trying to automate this fully, but as you know, it's like a snowflake, right? I mean, you're not getting the same file every time. In fact, it's wildly different. So I think that this is why we've approached it as a way to bring as much accuracy and as much speed as possible. But in even like our AI Bill of Rights, we always believe like that you should have that human oversight. And this is kind of where the large language models that we're seeing, Chat GPT and all that, that they're kind of getting off pace. And I have had a lot of talks with other private equity developers that are saying, well, we can use LLM for mortgage. Well, I'm not convinced just yet. Our system is closed, it's trained to be unbiased. If you've ever used those LLMs, they will unfortunately import the germ or the bias in. So we're very careful not to let that happen with our tech. But yeah, very interesting, Dionne. I really enjoyed being here today. Thank you guys for having me. It's been great.
I appreciate you guys for having me. If you guys don't have any questions, I will hand the floor over to, I don't remember who had the floor before. Was it Annette or was it
Yep.
Kristen?
It's all of us. We're all work together. AJ, do you have anything to say? Because you usually do. Come on.
I don't know if that's good or not, you guys. I have so much in my mind going on with taking all of this information in. And, it's kind of, I can't help but think careful what you ask for. Careful what you ask for because I've been in lending since 1979. I've underwritten files. I've originated loans. I was the queen of subprime when it was out. I thought it was fantastic that people had a different way to get a loan that didn't meet the bank criteria. And so I was a big proponent of it. And I just wonder, I've never had two loans that were exactly the same. And when Provident Funding taught us how to that 80-20 rule, 80% of the loans can go through LP and we can do this and that. And I thought we're missing people, people are falling between the cracks that aren't getting approved that probably should get approved. And so I worry, I guess I worry that how do I utilize this technology without harming people that don't fit in the automated world? And I think you're always going to have that human component. I appreciate it makes my job easier, but I don't think it takes away from what we need to do as, originators or at all, anything tied to mortgage. I'm just a little afraid of who's going to miss out if we rely on this too much. That's my thought. And
I call it the underserved market that Nora has brought up.
I
Because
serve
that underserved market, they get kicked out of the system and then nobody looks at them again.
See, and I serve
Super
those
sad.
people. I have 3 loans
Yeah.
in my pipeline right now that were declined because they're cultural income type of paperwork that I know how to document, but somebody the AI kicked it out and said, no, not approved. And off they went. And they're like, call AJ.
We've actually approved, we're approving double the rate of traditional underwriting because the AI is unbiased and doesn't look at all that stuff, but just looks at the financials. And then when you're talking about our veterans, it's 3 times the approvals. So it can be done, but I understand like what to Dionne's point earlier in the presentation, if it's programmed to be biased, guess what? It's going to have that redlining in there. If your programmers are specifically programming it for it to be completely unbiased, and you know what I mean? So it does
I have to
go as it
collect a lot
goes.
of letters of explanation, because not every borrower is the same, and it's usually regarding their income or their job. And I'm afraid AI doesn't pick that up, you guys. It's like, we'll explain why she had 6 months gap when they moved in their income. And
That's why you need the person behind it. You're
yeah,
right,
when the
AJ.
underwriter will read that letter versus a computer, I'm very cautious with it, but I'm grateful to have the understanding and the knowledge that you guys shared today. It's been really fantastic.
Well, Nora always speaks on the gig economy, right? And a lot of these folks have mattress money. And,
Yeah.
you know, so she spoke on that a lot when she was in her Freddie Mac role. And she continues to speak on that because there are loan programs that can benefit that underserved market, but you have to educate. That's why I moved myself into mortgage, because I felt plateaued where I was at and I wanted to be challenged and get more knowledge and to help, like AJ, the underserved, because
Right.
everyone deserves to be in a home. Everyone, if they can afford it, let's get them in a home. Let's not put them in a stressful situation and be house poor, but also let's get them into a home. So I'm very
Give them an
passionate. Just
opportunity at least, you know,
Yeah,
let them
exactly.
give them an opportunity to share in it, but you do that through education and patience. They're not the
Mhm.
easiest
No.
client always, you know, the underserved community is that because people don't want to spend the time to get the letter or to go through and figure it out. So I hope that this will free up the underwriter for the cookie cutter if you really have one, so that they could focus on a loan that does require a little more attention to detail and understanding. We all know it's risk-based, but if I can alleviate that risk by explaining, then I would like a human being to say, this makes sense. Let's go
Exactly.
ahead and move forward with this and not just have, you know, Citibank computer kicking it out or whoever is, you know, running the AI in the back. But
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
this is fantastic.
Well, we want to thank both Dionne and Lukas. And Lukas, I'll just let you know, even though our title is National Association of Professional Mortgage Women, we do allow men into our association.
Allow.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough.
We
Thank
allow you.
Yeah.
you.
And that
That's
started a few years ago. I think, you know, probably 30 years ago, they started men supporting us, coming to our events and supporting, and they were like, hey,
Awesome.
let's have them be members. So we do have Ken Perry, if you've ever known or met Ken Perry, he's owner and CEO of Knowledge Coop. He does CE.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
And so Ken Perry is a longstanding, I don't know, 25 years in
30.
NHMW. He,
Nice.
yeah, it's just like, so we would welcome you. We are all volunteers. None of us get paid for this. We are passionate about education, inspiring each other, lifting each other up. I can't even tell you, women need to support women, but we also need the men supporting us women in that journey, right? Back in the
Awesome.
day when the 9 women started it in 1964, the men told them, no, you got to go figure it out yourself. And that's what those 9 women did. They empowered themselves and got the knowledge and started learning about banking industry. So that's
Oh,
how
wow.
it started, but it was all about education. So we appreciate this. I learned a ton. I'm so glad Dionne pushed for us to actually record and not just summarize, because we are going to put this on our YouTube channel with your permission, and then also put on our website. And I'm going to share it on my own personal page as well. Does anyone have any extra things to say? I did put in the chat to follow Lukas and Dionne on their social media platforms. Please look them up, like, follow, whatever they have for their buttons. So,
You
yeah,
cheated
for
on
sure.
us, Dionne. You cheated on us. Who'd you go see? I know you told them about us. I know you did.
I spoke at NAM's women's group yesterday.
Oh, that's
That looked
fantastic. Well, they
amazing.
know about us, so that's
Yeah.
great.
Well, NAM's an affiliate, so we will allow that, but it was Inspire, right? Inspire.
It was Inspire, and
Yeah.
it was it was really great.
Good.
I just appreciate you guys, and I just want to say to Lukas, we're expecting to see you as a member soon. I'm just going to be the one that says it. We need you to be a part of our group. We need you to come out here and educate.
Yes.
We would love the women of your company to join too, but we actually see you too. Your knowledge, your passion for what you're talking about, it's great, and we need you to be a part of our group.
Thanks, Dionne. I'd love to. Definitely send me the info, and I'll pass it on to Jennifer and May, who you met the other day. The the dancer logo is because our AI and so many of the companies are run, our executives are women, so it's kind of a nod to
Yay. I
them.
love
Well, there you
that.
go.
Mhm. Yeah, so
That's
I'm not doing
awesome.
them justice. Hopefully I did okay representing them today, but yeah, they're amazing ladies and they're the reason I'm here. So,
Oh, thank
Fantastic.
you.
definitely send me the info.
Well,
Yeah.
this was a huge, eye-opening. I think we all need to hear it. And we are a smaller group than NAMB. They're 55,000 members. We are not that big, but we are powerful and mighty. But we're gaining traction because we
Appreciate
have and partners like Dionne that's willing to give her time and be an affiliate. And if you guys want to look at being an affiliate with us, it's nothing crazy, but it is something that would benefit our members. That is how we grow, one at a time, right? So
Mhm.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate being here with you today. Thank you.
Okay, have a
Bye,
good one.
everybody.
Bye.
Have a great rest of the day.
See you soon.
Thank you.